Climate change warning signals are coming from the extreme ends of the Earth. What are Larsen A, B, C? And how are they tracing the path of climate change over a period of time? Spike in climate change is directly proportional to the large-scale melting of polar ice. Explain how Arctic and the Antarctic oceans are responding for climate change. What is the way forward? GS Paper 3, Conservation, Climate Change. What is the context about? The world has recently received dire warnings about the deteriorating health of our planet, from two of its most fragile and critical ecosystems, the Arctic in the north and the Antarctica in the south. A combination of aerial photographs of parts of the Larsen Sea shelf in the Antarctic show different aspects of the final stages of the collapse. Satellite images have also revealed that sea ice in the Arctic Ocean is at the lowest extent ever recorded. What are Larsen A, B, C? And how are they tracing the path of climate change over a period of time? Larsen C is part of what was originally a very extensive ice shelf, parts of which, Larsen A and Larsen B, have already disintegrated and floated away. Larsen A disappeared in 1995 and Larsen B in 2002. Larsen C is by far the largest shelf in this part of the Antarctica, covering an area of over 50,000 square kilometers. Now it has been reported that Larsen C may be about to detach itself from the thick mass of ice covering the continent, and float way into the ocean as a gigantic iceberg. This means that these anticipated changes may lead to much more severe global warming and climate change than what is already happening as a result of anthropogenic factors such as burning of fossil fuels, cutting down of forests and environmental degradation. Spike in climate change is directly proportional to the large-scale melting of polar ice. Explain. Methane lies trapped in the frozen biomass below the ice. Due to the steady loss of the polar ice caps, the thick ice cover over the Antarctic and over Greenland will release a huge amount of methane. The same is true of the permafrost that covers the northern zones of Arctic littoral. Methane is a much more powerful climate change-forcing agent than carbon dioxide is, though it stays in the atmosphere for a shorter time than CO2. The release of methane will lead to a significant spike in global warming. The mass of white ice, both in the Arctic and the Antarctica, reflects back the rays of sun, reducing the warming of temperatures. With its melting, much more of the heat from the sun will be absorbed by the oceans and the land mass, which will exacerbate global warming. How Arctic and the Antarctic oceans are responding for climate change. The Arctic and the Antarctic are different ecosystems, but both are very fragile. The Arctic is an ocean, enclosed by land, constituted by territories belonging to the US, Canada, Russia, Greenland, Norway, and Denmark. Thus the melting of ice, floating in the Arctic Ocean, will not add to net sea level rise. The Antarctica is an ice-covered land mass of continental proportions, which is surrounded by deep ocean. The mass of ice covering the Antarctica and Greenland, in the Arctic region, would add to the volume of water in the world's oceans, and lead to significant sea level rise. If all the ice over the Antarctica and Greenland were to melt, there could be an increase in sea level of several tens of feet by 2100, inundating most of the major towns and cities located on the seacoast around the world. The way forward. Against this background, it is imperative that leaders across the world shed their complacency and recognize and respond to what is a planetary emergency. The threat to human survival is real and is no longer a future possibility, it is a clear and present danger. If we do not heed the warning signals which are coming to us from the very ends of the earth, the time for any effective human intervention will soon be past.